So I've been working in the field of sustainability for over 25 years now. And within that field, I focused on the role of businesses in society. I've had the privilege to work with a lot of organizations to actually help them to fulfill and to live up to their strategic ambitions to have a positive effect on sustainability. It was a great journey. You can imagine that in the 90s, it was really pioneering. And we had our ups and we had our downs, some successes and a lot of failures. So initially, the discussion was actually whether organizations had a role to play at all in sustainability. Nowadays, it's been widely accepted that organizations have broader accountability than to only take care of their profits. So they should also take responsibility and be accountable for the positive effects they have, but also for the negative effects they have on people, on planet, on society at large. So a few examples of positive effects could be paying a living wage, good working conditions, but also investing in circular economy or investing in green energy. Negative effects could be child labor or modern slavery, loss of biodiversity, deforestation. So we see this trend that companies take more responsibility, nicely reflected in their mission statements. And initially, the mission statements were very much focused on, I'm the best, I'm very strong, and I'm going to earn a lot of money. I always liked this anecdotal mission statement of Honda, and that was, we will destroy Yamaha. So this was the position that organizations took in the early days. Fortunately, then companies started realizing that making a lot of money is nice, but in the end, the contribution they give to society is through the products they make. So product quality and high quality products became the new focus. Even more recently, we've seen another shift. That companies say, yes, we want to earn money, produce good products, but we also want to put our clients in the middle of our ambition. Because without clients, we wouldn't have a business at all. The latest and the newest development is that companies nowadays also want to have a positive contribution to society. And we see that a lot of organizations change their mission statements into so-called purpose statements. So what is a purpose? A purpose answers actually 3 questions. So the first question is, who are you as an organization? The second question is, what stakeholder ambitions you actually fulfill? So what is your main perspective? And the third question is, what is your role in society? So purpose helps you to be very explicit about why you exist, what it means for the things you do, and how you do the things. So a very nice and interesting example of such a purpose statement is a statement from Philips. And Philips is a health organization. And their purpose statement is to improve the people's health and well-being through meaningful innovation. And that has been translated in the ambition that they want to improve the lives of over 2.5 billion people every year by 2030. Another interesting example is the purpose statement of the Rabobank. And their purpose statement is growing a better world together, which has been translated into the ambition that the Rabobank is a sustainable bank that wants to contribute to well-being and welfare in the Netherlands, but they also want to contribute to solving the worldwide food problem. Well, isn't that great? I think when you really look at those purpose statements of companies, I'm wondering why we are faced with grand challenges at all. Why is there inequality? Why is there climate warming? Because if we could believe those firms And if they would actually live up to their purpose statement, their ambitions, then we wouldn't have problems at all. Well, unfortunately, what we see happening in practice is that there's a lot of wording, there's a lot of symbolic activities, but there is not a lot of strategy, nor a lot of impact measurement. And that's problematic. Because if we put a lot of money, effort, and knowledge in doing a lot of things, which might be good in itself, but if we don't have any clue what the effects are of those things we're doing, and whether we are able to live up to our promises, and whether we are able to live up to the purpose statements we have actually defined and we have given to the clients and to society, we have a hard nut to crack. So yes, there is a lot of action. But no, we don't have a clue. Isn't that surprising? Isn't that strange? And to be honest, there is a lot of greenwashing out there. Well, I've been thinking about this problem for a long time, but even more recently. And I see that a lot of companies, they struggle with the COVID situation. They're just recovering from it. There is a war going on in Europe. There is material scarcity. There are no employees to be found. So yeah, they have bigger problems than putting all their effort in translating their purpose statement into strategy, action, measurement, and performance, isn't it? They struggle to survive. And if things get better, I'm sure they will live up to their purpose statement again. You can understand, don't you? Well, no, I don't. And this has been really frustrating for me over the last years. Because if a company says, I'm having a hard time now, and I can't find employees, so now I just have to use some child labor to make sure that my production will proceed and I will be able to sell my things, it's not okay. If the only way for companies to survive and to produce the things they have to produce is by using child labor or modern slavery, perhaps those businesses do not have a legitimacy to exist anyway. So recently we have assessed what the situation is in the Netherlands if we look at our financial institutions. How do they work with their purpose and do they live up to their promises? Well, we were very pleased to see that almost all large financial institutions in the Netherlands actually have defined a purpose nowadays. And they have also initiated very ambitious programs to start working on it. But what was most interesting, that we saw that the companies and the institutions who have worked a bit longer on trying to translate purpose into action, into performance, that only they started to realize how hard it actually is. So it's not easy to do. But what should be done to work on your purpose? It should be in the center of your organization. So it's not something you just add to your organization. We must feel our purpose. We must hear our purpose. It must be seen everywhere in the organization. So it's now or never. Companies really have to start integrating the purpose into strategies, measurements, approaches. Because if you don't have any idea what the effect is of the things you do and the value you create or you destroy for society, how will we ever be able to make sustainable choices and to actually work on a sustainability strategy? So transparency of those impacts, that should be the first step. We should try to fulfill. We should start measuring things. We should start assessing things. If I look in practice, there are several reasons why this is not happening. Well, first of all, it's not so easy to be honest. It's not that there are no indicators or no methods available. There are thousands of indicators available. But if you really want to implement that in your current measurement systems, you need to change things. And change is always difficult. The second reason is that a lot of companies, they think that those new type of measurements won't tell them anything new. Well, you might be surprised. A third reason is that it's new and the measurement schemes we have available are really in the developmental situation. So it's not fully known and transparent what we have to do. But that doesn't mean that you could start. So what we see is that forward-looking businesses realize that not undertaking measurement in order to avoid potentially bad news is myopic at best and catastrophic at worst. So what is needed? Businesses need to make significant change in the way they work, in the way they operate. Cultures have to be changed. Measurement needs to be included in management, accounting, and control systems. They should start thinking about the effects they have and the impacts they make. They should really try to link performance measures to their purpose and their mission statements. They should assess impacts, not only to prove they're doing the right things, but to improve. Because if you're really serious about your purpose, how is it possible that you're not interested to know whether you live up to it and whether you actually achieve the performance you want to achieve? So how do we get there? 5 strategic steps can easily help you out. The first one is determine your purpose. Translate it into strategies, policies, actions, and start working on it. The second step is look at the things you're doing and think about the positive and the negative effects of your products, your services, your processes on your purpose and your ambition. Based on that, you can start setting targets. So be clear what you're aiming for. Be clear how to operationalize it year by year. If the targets are clear, the fourth step could be measuring, interpretation, assessing, put it in a dashboard or something, and use it. Use it to optimize your internal organization. And based on the performance measurements, we can start communicating internally, but also externally. And based on your findings, you can actually start to steer on the impact you're aiming for. Easy, isn't it? For me, it's always surprising that such normal strategic management steps that all companies use on a daily basis seem to be so hard when we are not focusing on profit anymore, but when we focus on multiple value or environmental value or social value. Yes, it is different. Yes, we need to change. Yes, it will be hard. But no, it's not impossible. But don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Just start. Just start doing it. And it's only when we all realize that if you and all other companies live up to their promises and take themselves and their purpose very seriously, we will be able to make this world a better place. So just remember, you are much too important to greenwash.